Hi, hello everybody. Welcome to the Wine with Jimmy channel. Delighted that you have stopped by to this wine educational channel, which is designed to help those of you that want to learn more about the world of wine, but specifically those of you who are studying the world of wine, so you can get more understanding to, of course, tackle your examinations with a lot of conviction and pass them with flying colours. So welcome to a series here for the WSET Diploma. This is on northwest Italy, split into a multi-series section. Here we're looking at series 4 on Dolcetto, which will be split into two parts. We are going to discuss everything Dolcetto, the history, the characteristics, the etymology, and the style of this grape variety. Part 2 will be where we find it, the key appellations. This will only be available to those of you that subscribe to my e-learning portal over at www.winewithjimmy.com. Lots of very, very useful content on that portal. Things like flashcards, written questions, and of course, lots of exclusive video content. If you have any comments or questions or concerns with this video, please pop it in the comments section below, and you can click like and subscribe whilst you are down there. Please also find the social media you see at the bottom of every slide. So let's talk about Dolcetto, the little sweet one, often the third grape, I suppose, in the star-studded lineup of Piemonte. History here, we have the earliest mention of Dolcetto right at the end of the 16th century in Dogliani, which is this wonderful appellation going towards the Maritime Alps in the southern part of the Cuneo province, so near Cuneo itself. DNA profiling has disproven the theory that it is identical to Douce Noire or the Zinfandel grape variety. Some people believed it may have had links to those. So we think it's really firmly down here from Dogliani, very famous DOCG for it today. As I mentioned, the name Dolcetto refers to the little sweet one. And it comes from the low natural acidity of the berries, and it refers to the fact that you get a very bright, juicy character from the wine. But the wines are nearly always dry, but it's to do with the sort of sweetness and the low acidity that we find in the berry itself. What about Dolcetto in the vineyard? Well, it's an early ripener. And it fits in the trio of black grapes because we have Nebbiolo being the latest ripener. Barbera then ripens just a little bit before that, and then Dolcetto quite a bit before. It can be often around a month before Nebbiolo ripens for Dolcetto. And that makes it suitable for cooler and higher sites in Piemonte. And as we know, they exist. We have areas which are the most prized for Nebbiolo, often on the mid slopes at a few hundred meters. But we have sites at 400, 500, 600 as you go into the Alps. This becomes often too cold for Nebbiolo and even Barbera. And that's where Dolcetto comes in quite nicely. So in Alba, it is thought that this variety is more suitable to the white marl soils, which are on the right bank of the River Tanaro. As a variety, in terms of its susceptibilities, it is susceptible to fungal diseases, and it often, in some locations, can drop its bunches before harvest, which can, of course, be a significant problem for yield. There has been a reduction in the vineyard area. Why? Well, first of all, it is quite a fragile grape variety, and the buds themselves are easily broken, which means, of course, a reduction in the yield. It also has low vigor, and ripening can be blocked by prolonged spells of cold and cloudy weather. So that can often stop the ripening quite quickly for Dolcetto. And also Nebbiolo and Barbera recently are both varieties which are exceptionally popular. And with Nebbiolo, we've always said that it prefers the best sites in the Langhe. However, we know we can, with modern techniques, ripen it in cooler places because we've got brilliant Nebbiolo up in the Alto Piemonte and the Canavese area of Piemonte. So Nebbiolo is even sort of encroaching on Dolcetto's landscape. And of course, Nebbiolo fetches such higher prices. So the real competition by Nebbiolo is a problem for Dolcetto. What about in the winery? So the variety is fairly reductive in the winery. And it can produce often some off flavors. So often we'll have frequent pump overs and punch downs and things like rack and return to introduce oxygen to avoid those off flavors and to keep the cap moist. We also then have the desire to keep Dolcetto very fresh. And that's where we would have things like mid-range fermentation temperatures with short times on the skins, sort of around 7 to 15 days. And you'll find that softer extraction methods are adopted to avoid the naturally high tannins. Wines are typically produced in stainless steel or cement, and that's to once again preserve the kind of primary character. So most wines here for Dolcetto are good to very good and tend to be inexpensive to mid-priced. Some are very good to outstanding, and they are the ones that kind of command the premium prices, of course. We look at wines that have a nice color to them. They're often very deep and kind of deep ruby, if not purple sometimes, with a really good intensity. Things like cherry, floral notes like violet, and the best will have spiced licorice and almond characteristics to them as well. But the acidities tend to be soft on medium minus, and the tannins are strange with Dolcetto. It has often a very typical bitter finish. So you'll often find it having sort of a medium plus or even quite high tannic finish. And in combination, this means it's nowhere near as balanced as its other two varieties it's often pitched against. So Nebbiolo is often more balanced because of the ageability it goes through. Barbera, the people's grape, has just more generic balance. A Dolcetto is a little bit more tougher, hence why it's losing out on ground in Piemonte. Well, thank you so much for joining me for the video on Dolcetto. Please do join me for part 2, where we discover all of the wonderful appellations which are pivotal for the D3 section diploma level 4. So please do join me for that. You'll have to go across to www.winewithjimmy.com to gain access to that video. Any comments or questions or concerns, of course, once again, you can comment on this video below, and you make sure you click like because it helps us, and click subscribe because it helps you. And also, please check out the social media that you find at the bottom of every slide. And if you find yourself in Old Blighty, the rolling hills here of beautiful England, then come and see me in London at one of my establishments for a class, a glass, or a bottle. I've been Jimmy Smith. Ciao for now. Bye-bye.